amendment of the Political Parties and Organisation Act as some of the fruits of the just concluded regional parliamentary sitting that convened in Gulu, and so DP's Richard Lumu granted leave to prepare the motion. The motion seeks to have the leader of opposition elected by all opposition legislators other than being appointed by the leading opposition party. The idea has ever left the opposition, including DP, whose member is fronting the amendment, cash cold, fearing it could instead break the opposition.
We take now the battle to Parliament, that we are now, I go and campaign before DP and NUP, and then before you know it, there is a handoff, NRM government. This is wrong.
That is not the position of the Democratic Party. It is a private member's bill that is informed majorly by the whims and opinions of the mover, the intended mover of the motion.
This is not the first time DP is seeking to have this amendment. It was first brought by Midad Segona but met with resistance in 2018. 5 years later, it's again brought by another DP legislator, Richard Lumu.
Unfortunately, they've continued to play the politics of intrigue, I think hatred, and I think self-seeking. I don't know why they always don't want to be in harmony with other parties.
DP Vice President General Fred Mukasambide believes the bill could have been motivated by the personal character of the sitting leader of opposition, who is accused of working in isolation, an argument other opposition leaders disagree with.
What is coming up is definitely pointing towards the character of the current leader of the opposition, who definitely leads in such a manner that he is not as consultative as required. Because in Uganda, there is no political party called opposition.
Why would you bring a bill that is going to cause chaos and destabilize the country because you are fighting just one person?
Well, in a few, we'll be bringing you the reaction of the leader of opposition at one of the interviews that he had with the media. But he's joining us now in the studio. Good to have you, Honorable Joel, and a very good morning.
Thank you, Simon. How are you?
Is this a new battle for you to fight?
I said, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Good to see you.
You are a good Muganda. You should have some manners. Mtu wa kuvuza. You first respond and then we attack. Anyway, I'm happy to be here.
Now, the new headache that the party has, the NUP has to confront.
No.
Why are you too quick to react and too fierce in your reaction to the extent that in one of your addresses you said, Baba wadde sente okujja okutucyankalanya? And I could play that back for you.
Please do.
Can my producer run the video? It will be coming on shortly. But what explains your resistance to the Lumu bill?
Well, what you're calling fierce reaction and so on. Firstly, of course, you, the media, whenever there's something small or big, you run for reaction, which is an okay thing to do. And you prop it up. So yes, we responded because there is an initiative by one of our colleagues. Ideally, it should not maybe have raised a lot of dust. But the genesis of this was the sitting in Gulu, and I understand you said later on we'll be discussing the regional sittings, but just this particular element, our colleagues go to Gulu. A number of us disagreed with that, which we will point out later. Then the speaker says, we are in Gulu, want to focus on just northern Uganda related issues. Honorable Ssenyonyi tried to raise a couple of concerns. She said, no, here we are discussing matters of northern Uganda. So our colleague raises this issue. And some colleagues from the north, Honorable Pipi Ojara, Chua West, Honorable Nekalit, Kidbu Municipality, and others, they rose and said, but Madam Speaker, how does this issue help northern Uganda? You said we should only be concerned about issues Northern Uganda. This does not in any way come to be of help to Northern Uganda. What is it? Told them, sit down. Honorable Lumu, proceed. Clearly showing that it had where it was coming from. It looked like the Honorable Lumu was not on his own. And that can happen in politics. But broadly speaking, his idea, which is that the opposition leader in parliament should be elected within parliament by the opposition members and so on. When you look at its genesis,
so your
maybe they are saying, yeah, of course that's important. It cannot just come out of the blue. It has where it is coming from. It's possible they are saying this Ssenyonyi man here is giving us a lot of headache. He's asking this question, making noise about this, now corruption in parliament, now accountability issues, now this.
He's not consulting like you
had
not
cooperative. Well, if you want us to talk about you said we'll talk about the regional sittings later, but we will. He's not cooperative. He's always disagreeing with this. The speaker is saying this, and he's concerned about many issues. Maybe we should try and fix him. Unfortunately for them, they will not succeed in fixing me because...
Why are you reducing this to yourself?
But you're the one who has played that clip, and all those people are telling you their target is Ssenyonyi because of his modus operandi, his stance on several issues, whether it be corruption, whether it be accountability issues, and the general modus operandi in parliament. But then again, I have news for you and the others. It will not affect me at all. Because you see, Simon, the advent of multi-party politics in 2006, when we chose to go that direction, it was that, all right, so we'll have a party that is in power, then there will be the opposition. And when you read that act, I hope you've had a chance to read the Administration of Parliament Act.
Certainly, yes.
It prescribes numerous issues. So there will be lead of government business on the other end, then there will be lead of opposition. On this end, there will be government chief whip, chief opposition whip, and so on and so forth. Committees which are chaired by the party in power, committees which are chaired by the opposition, and so on and so forth, to bolster multi-party politics. That was the reasoning behind that. So if you come up with this and you're saying, no, let's tackle just one particular element, people will ask questions. Why just this one? Why not the entire? Because multi-party politics was to address the entire. You know, why should it just be the leader of opposition elected? How about the leader of government business?
And what would
why
be
should
wrong
it just
with the opposition exercising internal democracy and having consensus on the leader that they want to be at the helm?
I've not even said it's wrong. If you're attentive, Simon, I am asking, like many people are asking, if it is okay to elect the leader of the opposition, the chief opposition whip, why should the same not happen to the leader of government business, the government chief whip, and so, because all of those positions did come with the advent of multi-party politics. So when you choose to focus on just one particular area, so you're feeding into the narrative that you are targeting a particular individual, even when you won't succeed, of course, like I've said. But again, it messes up what you're calling a good idea, because if you're saying it's a good idea, then you should have said, let's address the entirety of it. When you say, let me focus on just one particular element, then you're feeding into the other narrative of those who are saying, no, you're targeting a particular individual, you're being used, and so on.
Ssenyonyi, I just want to play you the clip of your first reaction to this motion. And here you go.
Hey, I saw on the news, one of our colleagues, the Honorable Ssenyonyi, was raising an important matter because we have been dealing with the censorship motion for some thieves in Parliament. And the Speaker said, don't bring your manyanga here. Here we are dealing with issues of Northern Uganda. That manyanga of yours, that nonsense of yours, is to be handled in Kampala, in that house of yours in Kampala. That's where you deal with your manyanga. Interestingly, today, I saw her entertaining some manyanga. Some of our colleagues clearly being used by the Speaker and the NRM. They are mooting a motion saying, now, we want the leader of the opposition to be elected by the entire parliament, by the entire opposition. we have never been afraid of any democratic process, as you know. But clearly, this is because of the pressure that as a team we have been exerting and that we continue to exert. And we shall not stop.
You call it manyanga, simply manyanga. But have you, for starters, even interested yourself in the details of what Lumu presents?
Well, manyanga, if you listen to the context, the speaker said in response to the Honorable Ssenyonyi that that manyanga you are bringing, leave it for your Kampala house. Here we are only handling Northern Uganda issues. So in other words, according to her, anything outside of Northern Uganda issues is manyanga. So that's what I was saying. But now you're entertaining more manyanga because it's outside Northern Uganda issues. But you kept saying that you're going to play a clip where I was saying they're being given
used.
money.
They're being used by the speaker.
Simon Kagwanjala, you said that I said that they have been given money, and that's why they're bringing this bill.
They're being used by the speaker.
And you said you're going to play the video as waiting for it.
That exactly is the video. They're being used by certain people.
Okay, so it's okay to amend your words. Now you have amended. But that's the same thing that I have been saying, that when you bring such a bill and you're focusing on just one particular area, you're feeding into the narrative of those who are saying you are clearly targeting a particular individual.
But there's also this narrative
used
that
and so on.
Vanguards of democracy do not want to be checked, to be tested. That taking you through processes would be offensive, appears now offensive.
But who has
That
said,
if there was to be an election for a leader of opposition, it would not augur well with the opposition, with the leading opposition in power.
That's actually not true. You see, what some of us are saying is, if you want multi-party democracy to grow, and your intentions are good, then seek to grow the entire of it. Yeah, because multi-party politics is not just on one side of parliament. That's why there is the right side of the speaker and there is the left side of the speaker. So if your intentions are good intentions, yeah, because yeah, maybe it would be an okay thing to say that, yeah, let all these leaders be elected. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing. I was elected by the people of Nakawa to go to parliament, and they gave me their mandate. So democratic processes are okay. No one is saying it is a bad thing. Yeah. What we are only saying is, if you're saying that now electing these leaders within parliament helps to grow multi-party democracy, then it should be a good thing to apply across the board. Not so. Yeah, because why are you seeking to grow just one side? Because you seem to presuppose that you will be in the opposition forever. Maybe some of our colleagues have no plans of leaving the opposition. Because if you're saying we are working hard towards entering government and we want multi-party democracy to grow, that means you want, just hold a second, you want it to grow whether it be in the opposition or in government, so that tomorrow when you are in government, you want the same thing to happen, that even lead of government business, government chief whip, maybe committee chairpersons, you know, from the government side and so on, so that it applies even when you cross over to government, not so.
But there is also a sense that this idea is popular among other shades of opinion that do not really relate so well with the NUP in parliament. They seem to complain that you're having, your modus operandi is not
Who are those?
Very, well, it was, for starters, it was backed by a member of the National Unity Platform, and that is Honorable Kakembo. But there are also voices that have come out to say that perhaps it's time for us to try this experiment. Don't you think the lines or the divisions in parliament are now coming out stuck in the open?
No, parliament, Simon, you have been around for a long time. I don't know, when did you join the media?
It's been 20 plus years.
Ah, okay.
And I'm proud of it.
I joined the media in 2006. So you and I have always seen what has happened in parliament. You even tried to get to parliament. So you know the happenings in parliament. And you know that there's always been disagreements in parliament, whether it be this side against the other, whether it be within the NRM side, whether it be the opposition
but now they're more
side.
stuck. They're not clear.
there will always be individuals who have a different school of thought. And that's not unexpected. So when you say the lines have been drawn and so on, what's new? But maybe what could be a little bit new in this case is that there are people who were not happy at all that now Ssenyonyi is the leader of the opposition. You saw the voices right from the word go. How can they do this? As if there are no other people who have been in politics much longer, who are older. This guy is a young man. This is his first time in Parliament.
Just hold on. Protracted battle.
Because you did ask a question, yeah? This guy, first of all, is young. Two, this is his first time in Parliament. There are people who have been in Parliament here for 15 years, and so you did hear the voices. Even before I got into office, yeah? So there are people who have never been happy, and they will never be happy. And that's okay. Unfortunately for them, so they can be unhappy all they like. It's okay, leadership is as such. So, yeah, from the word go, there are those who set out to say, we are unhappy, and maybe we shall fight, or whatever the case might be, and that's okay. I actually tend to thrive when there is opposition against me, when there is, animosity and all things thrown at me. I dig in my heels and I move.
Hitherto, what's your relationship been like with Honorable Umu?
I can't say we have been friends as such. He's a colleague. We do engage every so often. He's been to my office a few times, shared a couple of ideas, and we have engaged. At some point he had a particular concern which we tried to raise. So he, like all other members, freely walk into my office and we engage. So he has been to my office before and we have engaged, yeah.
Is there a sense that this position caught you by surprise from a colleague, from a person you consider a colleague?
No, because you see, when you take a stand, there will be a fight. When I was still chairing Kosase, and you people covered many of our meetings and so on, whenever I would take a stand, there were always fights. And the speaker would say, now you leave this entity, and I would say, no. Now you kick the media out, and I would say, but why? All the others we've been, operating with the media present. Then she would say, leave this particular person, and I would say, no. And there was always a fight. Then at some point, she tried to use the committee members to throw me out. She did not succeed because those committee members were saying, but where is the problem? What wrong has he done? And some had actually begun to sign, because you say committee member, chairperson can be censured by the committee. So some had begun to sign, and as they were taking to others, that time at the heat of it all, they said, but okay, so if I sign here, how am I going to defend it? What bad thing has our chairperson done exactly? I might not agree with him in terms of politics. He's NUP, I am NRM, but what bad thing has he done? And so it failed. So it's not the first attempt. There'll always be that. Whenever you take a stand, there will be a fight. And that's okay. You've got to keep moving.
Yeah, but this is not a Ssenyonyi, an anti-Ssenyonyi bill, right? It is the opposition now coming out to say, we need to have a leader whom we elect with consensus, not a leader who is cherry-picked by the party.
It is
you were cherry-picked by the party.
Opposition members, not the opposition. It is some opposition members. And like I'm saying, it's okay for them to have that view. They are entitled to it. No one should actually muzzle them. Yeah? I'm only saying they fall into a trap, and the narrative of those who are saying, maybe you guys are targeting a particular individual. Why is your concern just this? If you are interested in multi-party politics growing, then your interest should not just be the leader of the opposition. Because the Administration of Parliament Act, which came through the advent of multi-party politics, introduced several offices: lead of government business, lead of the opposition, government chief whip, chief opposition whip, and so on and so forth. And the idea that now some committees will be chaired by the ruling party, some committees will be chaired by the opposition. Yeah. So what people are telling them is, if you're not targeting a particular individual and you're interested in multi-party democracy growing, then your interest should be across the board. If you are not saying you're just interested in being in the opposition, because tomorrow you could be in government. So your leader will be the leader of government business. Now your leader is the leader of the opposition. So that means when you cross over into government, your leader will be the leader of government business. Maybe you should also seek that that person is elected, so that when you're in the other end, you can also be able to elect your leader.
Maybe that's business for another day. That's business for another day.
Yeah, but it's part of what I hear them say, that look, we want multi-party democracy to grow. And I'm saying that's okay. Yeah, we should be able to review it. Of course, I don't know where they have benchmarked it from. I don't know any country where it happens. Do you?
Okay, the motion is backed by Kakembo, Honorable Kakembo Mbwatekamwa, Member of Parliament from Entebbe Municipality, and he's a member of the National Unity Platform. Is he subjecting himself to some bit of maybe reprimand from the party?
Have you heard that the party is calling him to reprimand?
How concerned is the party that a member is supporting something that is deemed sinister?
Well, at least this is not even illegal. It might be problematic in many ways and so on, but it's not illegal. Some of our members have participated in illegalities, which is even more problematic. So yes, you'll always have members who will choose a particular path. Some will be outright illegalities, as we have been handling. Some of those, I've seen you defend some of those fellows. Well, you're right as well. But yes, there will always be such members. It's not unexpected that now, how can it be an NUP member, backing up such a motion? Well, how can an NUP member engage in theft, in illegality? Yeah, society gives us all, and then you keep weeding out.
Well, here is just another battle that Ssenyonyi is fighting. Ever since
there's no battle that I'm fighting regarding this issue.
There is a battle.
I've given you my
yes,
stance.
There seems to be a battle. You're very uncomfortable with the arrangement, and you seem to be
it's not
ready to go all the way to
Simon,
shoot it down.
It actually will not affect me at all, yeah? Because even when this, assuming if it eventually passes, it cannot affect the sitting leader of the opposition, myself. And I'm not supposed to be leader of the opposition forever. There are people who get into some of these small offices and they want to stick therein. So when you move them a bit, they get offended. Surely, I don't know have you been to prison?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Yes. You see, when you go to jail, whether it be police or wherever, there always be a leader amongst yourselves, somebody called RP. That person is still a prisoner. So Ssenyonyi is like an RP because I'm leader of the opposition. I might appear powerful and all this grandiose and so on. But the other day I went to Lubigi and they tear gassed us. The people were saying, what? How can the leader of the opposition be tear gassed? Well, that shows you that I'm an RP. I'm a leader among prisoners. I'm also a prisoner.
For now, it comes off as if you're a leader of a fractured opposition where things are in disarray.
That's in your head, Simon. And it's okay for that to be in your head and for you to process it that way. It's a view that you can hold. But like I've said, that even in the past, Honorable Winnie Keys, I had an interaction with her, but anyhow, I also followed and we covered Tujukwatako and so on. And she was saying, look, we'd sit in meetings, agree on this. Meanwhile, some of our colleagues are sending information to the opposite side, and so they are betraying us and so on. It's not new. It's not new. It will always happen when in leadership, whenever you're leading people, it's not unexpected.
Okay. You've had quite a tumultuous reign ever since you got into office. And you seem to be at permanent loggerheads with the Speaker of Parliament. Do you see where this is likely to end?
When I had just become leader of the opposition, I sought out the Speaker and I said I would like to have a meeting with you. So I go to her office and there was the clerk and so on. I told her, no, I actually want to have a meeting with just you and myself. If you don't mind, request these people to leave. I want us to have
a one-on-one.
A one-on-one. And we did for like 3 hours. And some of the issues that I put to her, I told her, look, we have had fights in the past when I was chairing Kosase. Why? Because you kept standing in my way. I was doing my work and you kept standing in my way. And inevitably, we had to fight, because I was not going to allow you, powerful as you are as Speaker, you're my supervisor, but I also chair a committee, I have a responsibility. When you stand in my way, I'll not allow that to happen, hence the fights. I told her, now I'm leader of the opposition. You are Speaker. You are my boss. You are my supervisor. But I've got a responsibility to execute. Please don't stand in my way. Let me be able to do my job. And then I told her also that as I do my job, which is to keep the government in check, this parliament is part of government. It's the third arm of government. I'll keep it in check as well. So as I go after Right Honorable Nabanja and her team and so on, that's the executive, where there are issues within parliament, be sure I will raise them too. Will that mean I hate you as Speaker? No, because I also want you to do your job right. When you don't do your job right, all of us, the people that you lead as MPs within parliament, we are affected because you are our leader.
Yes.
And I thought that was a good conversation. She smiled about some of those things, and I told her, I'm actually very serious. I said, but you can also, you don't, let's work harmoniously and so on. I said, that's exactly why I've requested to have this meeting, so that we can work in harmony. You do your job, I do my job. Don't stand in the way of me doing my job, but also do your job right, because it's my responsibility when I see something amiss about this parliament, I've got to raise it, because I'm a representative of the people. And I thought, good meeting. But as sure as day follows night, things began to happen that are problematic. That my work keeps being stifled.
Did you expect it better?
Well, maybe not, but at least I set the stage, had this one-on-one, then I told her, look, you are not my problem. My problem is bad governance, corruption, and so on. If you become that problem, then I'll be firing at you. As we begin to operate, we go downtown Kampala with colleagues in parliament, with vans of parliament and all of that. Then she calls the clerk, withdraw those vans. So they left us in the field. And the clerk was saying the instructions I have is for those vans to return. Either you people enter those vans and return to parliament, or they return without you. I said, well, I'll not have a fight with the clerk, because the clerk is really our staff. So I said, I'll not have a fight with the clerk. He just has instructions. It's not his fault, maybe. I said, okay, we can withdraw. Then we hired taxis and so on. From the word go, it was clear this man has got to be fought. Policy analysts that were operating within the office, Speaker told me, there's no money to renew their contracts. I told her, but Madam Speaker, even this very week, I have information, you have hired people in this parliament. I don't know whether they are your relatives or people connected to you, whatever the case might be. Right now, that's not the issue. But you have recruited new people. And you're saying those that have been in office, there's no money to keep them in office, but there's money to recruit new ones. How does that happen? I told her, you are frustrating my work. Why? So anyway, what was clear is that from the word go, they were hell-bent on fighting me. But I said I'll operate even if I remain an individual. And so we still go out and operate. When we went to Lubowa, I told colleagues, you know what? We are going to drive our cars. Let's do carpooling, because the vans of parliament are not going to be available to us, as you saw the other time, yeah? So colleagues shared cars, and then we went. And that's how we keep operating, But away from that, when now I began to realize the corruption within parliament, when I began to realize that people sit in the commission and share money amongst themselves, that the Speaker...
You're part of the commission.
Very good statement. Very good statement. That the Speaker now can blow billions for these, give herself contracts for these billions of shillings and so on. I said, Madam Speaker, one of those times I was in her office, I said, Madam Speaker, you told me that there is no money to renew contracts of the staff, the policy analysts in the office of the leader of the opposition. How come there's money for all these ridiculous things, which don't even make sense to me? She had no answer. So I saw all of that corruption and all of that rot, and I said, I'll not keep quiet, because it's part of my responsibility to keep the government in check.
Taking you back.
Now, what some people perceive that to be is, I am fighting with the Speaker, which is what you're saying. No, I am fighting against corruption. So if it is the Speaker engaging in corruption, I'll go after her. If it is any of my colleagues engaged in corruption, I'll go after them. Does that mean I hate these individuals? No, I hate what it is that they are involved in, and I must be able to tackle it because that's my responsibility. So to answer you in that lengthy way, there's nothing personal between the speaker and I. No, I just hate bad governance.
But it's
a
protracted battle between Ssenyonyi, the person of Ssenyonyi, and the person of Anita.
Well, it's because Ssenyonyi is the one occupying
the office of LOP and the office of the speaker.
If Kagwanjala was the one occupying the office that I occupy now, if you were serious, you would also be talking about these things, if you were serious. So then people would say, this individual. If it was another person in the office of the speaker doing the same things, I would still be speaking out the same way I am doing. Because I've spoken out against even colleagues within my party. So why don't you say, hey, now maybe even for your particular people, even though they're NUP and that kind of thing. So it's just a principle that something wrong is wrong, regardless of who is doing it.
The office of leader of opposition would involve some bit of horse trading, negotiation, and compromise in one way or the other. You seem to be taking the hard stance always, without compromising at all.
You see, the meeting that I've told you about, I'm the one who asked for it. And many times I've actually sought audience with the speaker. When this regional, and you said we were going to talk about it, when that whole idea began, I reached out to her. I then wrote several letters, and I didn't get a response. And I was raising concern and saying, wait a minute, how did we get here? Because you just made a pronouncement. Was this processed by the business committee? Was this processed by the commission? Because it has a pecuniary financial implication, and I got a response. What am I supposed to do? Especially when I see something is wrong. And then I try to engage and say, we need to deal with this issue because I have my concerns as a leader within Parliament. Let's sit and address this issue. Before I blew up, I tried to seek for us to sit so I can help the speaker understand my point of view and the challenges thereof.
You're now fighting. When will you work?
I'm working, Simon Kagwanjala. My work, the work of the leader of the opposition is to keep the government in check. Fighting is your conscription. You can use another word, depending on how broad or narrow your vocabulary is, Simon.
Well,
use any word.
It's narrow, you're fighting.
That's okay. So now, according to your vocabulary, that's okay. But I'm doing my work. When I'm talking about corruption, speaking out against it, fighting it, using your word, that's my job. When I'm tackling bad governance, that's my job. When I insist on accountability, that's my job. Do you know the work of the leader of the opposition, Simon?
Yes, I do. Pretty well.
What's the cardinal role of the LOP?
Play oversight, keep government in check.
That's the cardinal role. And that's what I'm doing.
But you don't seem to have consensus from the opposition. There seems to be a big group of the opposition that is not aligned with the kind of work that you're doing. Isn't that problematic to you?
When you say big,
yes.
Make sense of that.
Let's look at the FDC, let's look at the Democratic Party and other players from the opposition. You seem to be running with the National Inter-Platform, and that's just a few members, not having even the entire opposition, the entire NUP.
Again, that's you trying to use flowery language to make it seem like, you know, when an individual, you see now that the Honorable Lumu is bringing this motion, sure you're saying now all DP members are against the LOP. I don't know if that's the case. He was backed by the Honorable Kakembo, who belonged to the NUP. Why aren't you saying all NUP members are against the LOP? Again, that's your exaggeration, and it's okay to exaggerate.